The church bells hit the air like metal on a can rim, ringing through the cold, dry edge of early November. On the lawn behind the white brick buildings, the potluck tables lined up, potato casserole, buttered corn, fried chicken, a tub of coleslaw sweating ice. I stood by the grill, fingers drifting out of habit to the spot on my neck where a dog tag usually leaves a thin mark after PT. Day-off uniform, navy button-down, dark jeans, sneakers worn at the heel. Cheryl spotted me, cast a smile like a fishing line, and reeled me into the crowd and the mic in Pastor Paul's hand. Her voice was glossy as varnish. "Thank you, Lena, for covering the summer bills, otherwise we wouldn't have had a /C." The sentence dropped light and neat, like goodwill could be metered in kilowatt hours. I half smiled, started to step back. Ray was already there, beer can in his left, my shadow box in his right. Wood frame, glass front, my Green Army Achievement Medal nestled on blue velvet. He held it like an invoice. "This medal," he smirked, "gonna pay next month's bill." A few whispers. Aunt Mary edged closer, eyes misting as fast as a summer shower. Somebody chuckled. I locked on Ray, counted down 3, 2, 1. He cocked his arm. The throw landed with a clean, dry crack on the concrete lip of the lawn. The glass popped free, the velvet liner slid, the ribbon kissed dust. I didn't bend, yet. Logistics reflex beat emotion to the punch. Scan. Nearest exit, gap between minivans and the oak. Keys in my black tote under the picnic bench. Phone, right pocket. Doorbell cam at my apartment, rolling a few blocks away. Witnesses. Pastor Paul, Aunt Mary, 3 guys in football tees, 2 older ladies wrapping sandwiches. Cheryl's hand touched my shoulder, lavender lotion and perfect timing. "Don't be mad, honey, your father's just worried about the family." I let her hand fall off me like a weightless receipt. I knelt and gathered the glass splinters, squared the velvet, smoothed the ribbon. The metal didn't work like it did in the warehouse awards ceremony. Didn't cut through the murmured, ungrateful. Didn't stop the gossip stacking up behind me. Breathe in for 4, out for 4. That rhythm steadied me when a convoy blew a tire in the desert. Today it kept my throat from launching a sentence I'd regret. Ray took a half step, maybe to kick the box farther. Pastor Paul cleared his throat, enough to pause Ray, not enough to unsay what he'd thrown. "You know how tight it's been," Cheryl added. "Without you this summer, Ray would have sold the TV anyway. You're so good to us." She turned her eyes to the women's circle, inviting agreement like a cook offering a taste. I nested the metal back in place, pressed the glass snug, lifted the box. The wood edge felt cold against my palm. "Enjoy the lunch," I said, level enough to register as flatline. I turned, lifted my bag, kept scanning. Exit still clear. Mary's hand at Cheryl's elbow, the 2 ladies pausing mid-rap, the football guys dropping their eyes to phones. The bells rolled again, a net of sound thrown over the lawn. I walked through it without snagging. BBQ smoke and sweet sauce and roasted corn chased my shirt. On gravel, my shoes ticked like a handheld counter in inventory. With each step, I tallied. 1, AAM secure. 2, keys in bag. 3, phone at 63%. 4, leaving before someone's anger gets heavier than words. Sunlight quilted the hood of my sedan through oak leaves. I unlocked, set the box on the passenger seat, and ridiculous, I know, pulled the seatbelt across it like the thing might fly again. Cheryl called as I shut the door. Her name floated over a lavender avatar. I let it ring 4 beats and killed it. Texts poured in. "Come back and talk it out. Don't embarrass your family." Aunt Mary added a scripture about honor, no comment. Ray didn't text, but I know his brand of silence. Landmines on the way home, a changed garage code, a canned tirade when he has an audience. I started the car, shifted, checked the mirror. Green lawn, broken up shadows, a checkered tablecloth lifting in the wind. I rolled past the pines, hands at 10 and 2 like it was a driver's ed exam. Air slid through the cracked window like Ellie's little radio when she drives through the gate. Red brick houses with southern porches, wisteria over chain link, a Jesus Saves sign on a stoop. I pictured the warehouse whiteboard, received, issued on hand. For 2 years, Cheryl and Ray have kept me in a fourth column, on call, good for a water bill, an electric bill, a new family gadget. My shoulders dropped, a vertebra eased as I turned right. At the light, 19 seconds of red, long enough to sketch a checklist. Bank, audit any auto pays Cheryl can access. Utilities, Kill Duke Energy and Fayetteville PWC auto pay. Phone, verify no subline tied to my account. Insurance, ret check beneficiaries. DMV, confirm my title. Email, reset 2FA, purge trusted devices. Rivera, the puppy gentle PFC with hacker hands. Ellie shows up in 10 with a tote and 3 rolls of tape. Jordy never says told you so, just hands me a pen and a clipboard preloaded with forms. Green. I drove away from Belle's and sweet sauce and Mary's pity-spiked glare. A hairline crack ran through the shadow box glass. Sunlight threaded it, a bright seam across the seat. In that stitch of light, I saw myself back at the award table. Flags hung to AR spec, the speaker butchering my name, handshakes, applause, the hollow feeling I always got because medals belong to the team, the ones who deadlift pallets till their hands go numb. Today the box reminded me the keeper piece isn't the medal. It's procedure. It's the exit lane. It's deciding not to sit at a table where kindness gets invoiced. Merging onto the highway, I signaled and changed lanes clean as a drill. I called Ellie. "What do you need?" She snapped a Cantab smile into the line. Whiteboard, 2 markers, a thermos, Veterans Diner corner booth tonight, tea 72 hours. A soft laugh. "Roger, bring tape." I nodded to no one. Before hanging up, I cued a text to Jordy. Need guidance on cutting supply lines. Intent, no confrontation, paperwork and law only. I eased into my complex, rolled over the speed bump, and slid the box aside like a used mask. No guilt about ghosting the lawn. I opened the apartment without switching on lights. Cheap soap and laundry powder met me. On the counter, a half-finished list clipped to last time's receipt, paper towels, coffee, AA batteries. I uncapped a pen and wrote block caps, hard strokes, cut every supply line in 72 hours. I underlined it once, twice. The bells still rang somewhere in my skull, but by the time I breathed to 4 and let go, they faded like an echo. I set my phone face down, flipped to silent, watched the second hand slide past 12. I didn't say goodbye to them. I said begin to myself. Last March, the kind of damp southern cold that fogs a windshield hung in the air. I was in the warehouse labeling a pallet of med kits when my phone buzzed 3 times, Cheryl's name blinking with a little blue water drop icon. She didn't ask if I was busy. Script ready. "Honey, utilities are about to cut us off. Your dad said we'd handle it this month, but I just can't." I heard Ray clattering somewhere, his voice knifing in quiet, sharp. "Ask her about auto pay." 2 clicks. The tape in my hand cinched so tight the edge scored a white line on my finger. One-time assist, I told myself. Help them stand, then pull back. I opened the apps, added autopay for PWC and Duke Energy with my card, enabled email alerts. Hitting confirm felt like hooking up a temporary bypass hose to their house. I didn't realize the bypass would be treated as the main line from then on. Summer came in hot and loud, crickets sawing the air, heat pressing on skin like a tarp. Ray was out of work. Cheryl's voice went cotton candy sweet. The house had nothing for the whole family to watch, she said. We walked into Best Buy, me and Mia. Her eyes lit up at the 4K wall. "It looks like a movie," she whispered, fingers braided in mine, palms sticky with heat. Ray had already picked a big screen. "Whose name?" I asked. He shrugged. Your card racks points. The sales guy poised his pen, that polite grin waiting for ink. I looked at Mia, a 15-year-old who wanted to watch football with a family on Sundays, and I signed. I kept the receipt, shot the serial off the back, emailed a copy to myself. In the break room, Jordy was always saying, "If it's in your name, keep proof." Not to argue so it doesn't evaporate. I nodded at that wisdom in the mirror and slid past it like a flashing speed warning. Fall, cool air, red leaves. Mia brought over her photo project, hands shaking as she showed me a sparrow on a fence. "If I had a real camera," she faltered. "I had overtime. I called it an investment with interest you can't see yet. We went back to Best Buy. I picked a simple mount, not reckless money, but enough to learn." Cheryl thanked me in the lot. "You're an angel," and tried to pocket the receipt. I took it back, quiet. "I'll keep this." That night I scanned the receipt, photographed the serial on the camera body, and filed it under inventory. In my notebook I added, "Purpose, Mia School. Location, Ray's house." Like a stock clerk marking pallet position, row 3, bay 5, level 2. Assign a location, earn a responsibility. Winter turned our breath to steam. Ray said his truck insurance was sky high. "Just add me to your policy, it's cheaper," Cheryl chimed. "We're family," she stamped like a red rubber seal. I called Yuza, asked about split and merge. The rep was gracious, thorough, ended with, "If you approve an additional driver." I approved. Weeks later, notice, premium increased. I shrugged, promised myself I'd revisit after New Year's. I stirred chicken soup on my stove while the sound of their TV lived rent-free in my head, as if our walls were thin and my apartment shared their living room. New Year's Eve, Cape Fear's fireworks bloomed like frozen flowers. I was on my couch with Coco when Cheryl texted a photo, everyone grinning under that TV. Caption, "Family is everything." Then her tone flipped. "Add me as an authorized user on your credit card for groceries. I'll pay it right back." I hesitated 3 beats. She added a heart. "Trust me." I tapped add authorized user, 3 small words in a banking app, but they swing a door from warehouse to street. Next month, the activity column showed kitchen stores, big box markets, daycare shops, and cash ATM pulls. I asked. "I forgot. I'll pay later," she said. Later jump cut to next month to Ray's still looking. I salted it down with my own salt. Situation, family asks. Action, temporary, yes. Lessons, temporary becomes default. In the log I wrote, "Variance." Between those months I ran on military time. 4:30 alarm, 5:00 PT, 7:30 in the warehouse, 13:00 receiving, 17:00 inventory, 20:00 home, 21:00 call Mia about homework. Her voice was thin as thread weaving through the bulk of adult noise. "I got an A," she bragged, sending me a sunset. Purple-red sky, black boardwalk like a silhouette. I wanted to believe every item I stood behind for that house took an ounce off her shoulders. I did believe it, until emergencies arrived like delivery schedules and Cheryl's. "Thank you," S came pre-printed like church bulletin openers. Once, in the diner near the back gate, I forked into pie and opened my laptop to the ledger. Rivera twirled a spoon. "Ma'am, who's getting your 2 FA codes?" he asked, like flipping a light switch. I froze. Cheryl had once borrowed my phone to get a code. I'd never removed her number from trusted devices. I went straight to security, stripped the extra number, changed the password, hardened login. Rivera nodded, the way an electrician clicks a breaker someone else tacked on. "Keep logs," he said. I laughed. "You sound like Jordy." "Truth, Jordy swears by it. No log, no nothing." I exported statements, email receipts, serial photos to a USB and pocketed it. I didn't always catch it in time. A few weeks before the church Sunday, Cheryl texted, "Oops, used your card for water bill, thought it was mine." I checked. It was mine. Auto-pay sliding silent. I texted back, polite to the point of cold. Next time, tell me first. She dropped a smiley and nothing else. It felt like reminding a stranger to return the forklift at shift change. He nods, and the next day it's still parked in the wrong aisle with the keys in it. Some nights I sat in my apartment with the TV dark, listening to the ceiling fan tick. I flipped my inventory. TV, this serial, photo in folder, camera body number, SD card in pouch, self-built PC, spec sheet, parts receipts, ham radio registration, car title, locked in my safe, PWC/Duke emails in this inbox. I wrote them like coordinates so that if recovery day came, I wouldn't argue, I'd point. Some nights I wrote Mia's name on a margin and erased it, afraid of turning her into a line item. The day the PWC email, payment posted, hit, so cheerful it might as well say good morning. I was flipping pancakes. Account holder Lena Carter, service address, and their address not mine. One side of the pancake browned perfect. I turned the stove off anyway. I sat at the table, hovered over manage autopay, and stopped. That click would declare war, dings, hold music, and the courtroom of a church lawn. Not clicking meant the bypass hose kept flowing until my account ran dry. I didn't click then. I poured coffee, wrote on a sticky note, and slapped it to the fridge. After Sunday service, cut everything. Right beside Mia's photo under a sunset. Sunday came. Bells fell. The sneer hit concrete. A hairline ran through the AAM's glass like a strand of hair. Threading through all those flashbacks was a pattern straight off the receiving log. A small just this once morphing into from now on. I'd let the bypass become the main. Buckling the metal in the passenger seat, I buckled something else around my waist, resolved to pull the hose. That night in my kitchen's warm light, I reopened the PWC email, scrolled to manage, tapped the little blue word, got the "Are you sure?" Pop-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. The ding was small, like a spoon on porcelain, but it thrummed in me like a quiet generator coming online. Under and behind all of it was Mia. "Aunt Mary says you're selfish," she texted. I typed and deleted, typed again, then sent only. "Don't let anyone use you to hit me. If you need me, call me." The 3 dots bubbled, then vanished. I set the phone down and opened a fresh inventory page. To safeguard. Time, money, quiet. There's no cereal for those 3, but I knew exactly where to store them. Inside this new decision, and in never again letting someone else hit confirm for me. Drizzle laid a wet dust over my hood when I killed the lights 2 blocks from Ray's place. Fayetteville at night felt like a warehouse after close, quiet but humming, only a stranger's a /C purring like a generator. Hoodie up, thin gloves on. Multi-tool, pen light, a roll of tape, and a USB drive in my jacket. Ellie in my ear. I'm staged by the convenience store. Lights off. Double tap if you need me. Rivera texted. Net's green. Ping me for mail /2FA. Roger. I breathed, counted to 4, and moved along the fence line. Stepping the dark seems to miss the puddles, like skirting sensors at a loading gate. Ray's house sat under trees, TV blue leaking through a slit of living room curtain. I waited under the eave, listened to a sitcom laugh track and spoons knocking porcelain. The back gate key was where it had always been, inside a hollow brick by the flower bed. Click. I crossed wet grass. The back door handle turned with a soft scrape that made my heart hitch half a beat. Inside smelled like old smoke and BBQ sauce. Target 1, the indoor mail basket. Cheryl keeps the important stuff in a wicker tray by the back door. One quick pulse of the pen light. Coupons up top, junk flyers underneath. Insurance policies, bank statements, DMV renewals. I folded what had my name and slid the stacks into my jacket. For anything not mine, I photographed, time-stamped, and put it back exactly where it sat. Leave nothing but rain on cloth. I slipped down the hall into the living room. TV light painted Mia's cheekbones winter blue. She'd fallen asleep curled on the couch, arms around a pillow, half her face hidden in hair. A cereal bowl on the table wore a white ring of milk. I swallowed her name and kept it in my throat. One shot of the TV back panel cereal, quick and clean. Then I pulled the throw blanket over her shoulder. Mia breathed steady. By her feet, the gray fabric bag with the camera I bought for her. The strap peeked out like an invitation. I touched it once and let go. There would be civil standby with officers and a report. You don't defuse a bomb by flipping lights on. Target 2, the garage safe. The door was cracked. I slid through, eased the oil-streaked tarp, the smell of grease sharp enough to sting. The penlight nearly caught a mirror. I dropped it before it flashed. On the shelf, my envelope for car papers and another carefully taped. Len birth cert. In my old fast handwriting, the safe latch yielded to muscle memory like slapping in a mag. I pulled birth certificate, registration, diploma copy, service records. A small letter slipped out, corners yellowed. My mother's hand, thin and rain-shaky. If you ever have to leave, don't call it quitting. Footsteps on the kitchen floor. I folded the letter, slid it into the inside pocket over my heart, relocked the safe, and put everything back down to the angle they'd been left. Target 3. My self-built PC in Ray's room, stupidly left there last night because Dad needs to process Mia's photos. The word Dad snagged my throat. I popped the door with an old gift card, soft scrape then still. The room smelled like cheap shampoo and old belt leather. Tower under the desk, powered off. I knelt, pulled the side panel, removed my SSD, zipped it, logged the time in my head. 23:18. Photo of the config screen, shot of the motherboard serial, panel back on, fingerprints wiped with a corner of my shirt. The floorboard squeaked, a short sound that felt long as a slur. I froze, counted 1, 2, 3, hold. Water ran in the kitchen. Cheryl turned the tap, probably rinsing a mug. The kitchen light cracked the darkness like a box cutter through tape. I'd made it to the garage edge and slipped behind the oil-stiff tarp. Her shadow crossed the gap, slippers scraped, a small cough. I held my breath while my heart beat against the sternum like knuckles knocking a pallet. She stood so long my hand went numb around the penlight. Then lights off, water off. A small set-down clink. Her shadow went back inside. I let breath go in a thin ribbon. Final stop, the outside mailbox for late-day envelopes. Front door meant passing Mia. Back door meant tango with the loose pavers that love to complain. I took the back, stepping the silent tiles I'd memorized back when I hauled Ray's beer. Rain thickened, rows of needles on my neck. The mailbox creaked. I pulled plastic sleeves. Insurance notice, AT&T promo, a DMV letter misaddressed to their old place. I tucked them under my jacket, reversed, locked the gate, slid the key back into its brick. Only on the sidewalk did I let speed into my stride. Ellie texted on cue. Truck angled 45 degrees, escape lane hot. I didn't need it. Tonight I was walking the last stretch alone, letting old muscle memory hang with me a few hundred more steps so calm could anchor in my calves. Right on the 2nd Street. Check over shoulder. No moving shadows, no slamming windows, no names slicing the night. Just rain, cut grass, and someone's condenser humming bassline. In the car, I set the document packet on the footwell, pulled the USB, and piped it into my phone with an adapter. I dumped the new serial shots into inventory/proof/23-11, labeled each. TV serial back panel, PC config before removal, cam body SN, docs birth cert title. Drafted an email to myself and Jordy for morning eyes. Attachments listed, left it unsent. Sat 1 minute, listening to rain drum the roof like fingers on a logistics desk. No sirens, no knuckles on glass. Extraction complete. Headlights cut a lane in the mist. On the way home, I hit the convenience store like we'd planned. Ellie tipped her cap and handed me a mini whiteboard, markers, and a dark coffee through my window. Instead of saying, "Don't be mad, put it in writing." She smirked, eyes flicking to the document bag, no questions asked. I lifted the cup. "Diner tomorrow," I said. "Uh-huh," she nodded. "And don't ever go back alone." She was right. Nobody returns to a battlefield for souvenirs. I had what law would need. The rest would wait for civil standby. Back at my place, I hung the rain jacket over a chair, laid the papers out like a map. Each sheet was a coordinate. Each coordinate was a route out. Top tray of my safe. Birth certificate, title, service file. Lock. My mother's letter got its own compartment. The paper warmed under my thumb as the words opened like steam. Don't call it quitting. I wrote 5 bullets on the whiteboard for morning. Bank, utilities, telecom, insurance, DMV. Then added a small box. Call Mia, confirm she's okay. Kitchen dark, but for one warm bulb. The AAM shadow box leaned against the wall. The cracked glass threw a thin line of light like a healed cut. I sat with the coffee, bitter, anchoring. Fayetteville drizzled beyond my window, the night flat as a green warehouse tarp. I texted Rivera one word, "Done." He replied with a thumbs up and T60H. I tipped my head back, closed my eyes, counted 1, 2, 3, hold, and let the air go. The night shift of withdrawal shut like a bay door at end of day, flat, final. Tomorrow, rally point, and those bypass pipes. I'd close them with my own hands, one valve at a time. The diner smelled like scorched coffee and butter, the skillet hissing like a radio catching a far station. I took the window booth, slid out the mini whiteboard, and blocked 4 big squares. Bank, utilities, telecom, insurance /DMV. Ellie dropped 2 egg sandwiches, nudged my elbow. "Eat, Skipper, then push the buttons." Cap low, shoulders to the aisle, security by habit. Rivera arrived a beat later in a gray hoodie, earbuds around his neck, laying a thin laptop down like an old sewing machine. "I'm right behind you if the systems get nosy," he said, opening the password manager. I nodded, pulled my notebook, 5 words from last night staring back: bank, utilities, telecom, insurance, DMV. In the margin, I added email /2FA and boxed it hard. Bank first. I called support, cleared identity, and asked to remove every autopay authorization tied to Ray Sherrill's address and revoke all joint/authorized access. The rep was polite, the process long. "Are you sure?" Came 3 times like warehouse checkpoints. "I'm sure," I said, fixing my eyes on hand in my mental board, and e-signed. Rivera signaled, turn on unusual activity alerts, swap 2FA to an app, purge every stray trusted number. His keys were so fast the letters landed before the clicks. "Log saved," he said, pushing a fresh PDF. I saved it to the USB and emailed a copy to myself. Ellie bit her sandwich and muttered, one pipe shut. "Utilities 8 the clock. PWC first, Duke Energy after." I read account numbers, cited start dates, stated the asks, cancel autopay, terminate my authorization, confirm by email. The agent apologized, pitched convenience. I declined and told them to update the service address to the actual resident. Mid-call, my phone buzzed, Sherrill. I silenced her. A text followed. "I only borrowed your card a bit. If you cut everything, who's going to help? This is your home, too." I didn't answer. Duke wanted a PIN. I read it clean, the waitress's menu flip slicing the air. "Done," the rep said. "You'll have an email in a few minutes." I wrote confirm by email in block caps on the whiteboard and circled it. No email equals not done. Same rule in the warehouse. No ticket equals not received. Telecom was prickly. Inside AT&T, I found an old subline I'd added for Sherrill for doctor calls. I hit remove and the system tried to text a code to a stranger number. Rivera leaned in. "Change the primary first." I jumped to the app, replaced the primary, purged trusted devices, and moved SMS over to an authenticator. 2 minutes later, the subline area was empty white. Cheryl text spammed. Mia needs to call you. Why don't I see your name? I sent one line. Use Mia's number for Mia, do not use mine. Ellie's pen tapped the table like an arrow ticking forward. Advance, she murmured. Insurance/DMV needed paper to match. I opened Usaw, split the policy, and removed Ray as an additional driver. Reason? The rep asked. I stayed by the book. Risk change, no longer co-resident, no vehicle lending. The voice softened. We'll note it. Straight into the DMV portal, address change and a duplicate title order in case the hard copy played games. If they ask, tell them you changed storage locations, Ellie joked, and for the first time that morning I laughed, the sort you let out after you finally set a heavy crate on the right shelf. Mid-sequence, Mia texted, I need the camera for class this afternoon. Can I borrow it? I looked at Rivera. He lifted a shoulder. Don't let feelings break the procedure. I typed, I'll send you edited photos you can submit today. I'll recover the camera with police present, then sign it out to you after we have paperwork. I'll meet you at the school gate with the files this afternoon. Typing bubbles, then gone. A minute later, a tiny heart. Pain rolled through my chest like a wet log under a tire, heavy, slow, survivable. Email/2FA next. Invisible pipe, Rivera said. Close it and half the battle's clean. I logged into the old accounts, rotated passwords to a standard, long, meaningless, unique. In devices, I deleted every odd name, including the iPad Cheryl once borrowed to read scripture. Remove. It felt like pulling a surplus pallet away from an emergency exit. Rivera slid me a spreadsheet, accounts, changed dates, notes. So you don't get lost, he said. I added a last row. Backup email deactivated. When I hit deactivate, I heard my own inhale deepen. Between calls, Ellie ran perimeter. The door blew open once and a big guy in a rain shell tramped in. My spine stood up on instinct. Ellie just cut her eyes that way, one hand on the chair back, and every muscle in me let go again. No tails, she whispered. Paperwork. I nodded and drank coffee. Caffeine lit up a second board in my skull. Rules of engagement. No arguing, no entering without police, don't put Mia in the middle, everything by email. By 12:00, my inbox was stacked with confirmations. Bank changes, auto pays canceled, PWC/Duke, we're sorry to see you go. Usaw policy split, AT&T security changes applied. I dragged them into a confirmations folder the way you palletize by route. Ellie propped her chin. See it yet? Out the window, rain like powder, oil puddles shining, an old private grinning at the waitress. I see the bypass lines running dry, I said. We sat in the pop of grease and let silence sink. My phone buzzed. Cheryl video called. I let it ring out. A text landed. People say you cut everything and are shaming me publicly. Are you leaving home for good? The phrase leaving home tightened my chest. I typed. I'm not leaving home. I'm stopping payments that are not my responsibility. For property and documents, all communication goes through police. Read. Then she sent a photo of Mia at the table, hair yanked up, eyes red. She's sad. I turned the phone face down and looked at my two teammates. Information operation, Ellie said, shrug. Rivera opened his laptop and mumbled, I can mute every church group for you. I snorted. Let them talk, we'll do. By 15:40, the whiteboard checklist was dense with ticks. I added a final inventory note. Cross-check last night's cereals with last year's. Mark at Ray Cheryl residence. That pin would anchor the civil standby. I snapped the board Rally Plan Day 1, JPG, and pushed it to our group chat. Rivera packed up and handed me a small slip. Backup codes. Don't keep them in your wallet, learn them. Ellie cleared crumbs like she was policing a motor pool after rain. Before we stood, I drafted an email to SFC Geordie. Subject: Row supply lines cut status T48H. Body: bullet list of completed tasks, confirmation PDFs attached, and the ROE I swore to. No confrontation, paperwork and law only, no entry, call 911 if approached, civil standby next. One last line. Secondary objective, shield Mia from the smear. I read it once and hit send. On my inner clock, T48H, 2/3 of the valves already closed. Outside, the air smelled like wet plastic and metal. I tucked the whiteboard under my arm, markers into my pocket, and felt half my weight float off. Not victory, order returning. Pipes no longer leaking. I looked up at cloud ceiling, low as a warehouse roof, and thought about printing every confirmation tonight, clipping them to the clipboard for civil standby day. Ellie clapped my shoulder. Come on, skipper. A few more valves. I stepped around a puddle, shoes ringing out little circles. In my head, yesterday's bells had turned into the clean click of safety locks. Shut, shut, shut. Under the metal, a new current, mine running in the channel I drew. The first ping cracked like a cheap firecracker at noon. Aunt Mary posted a pink-purple Facebook story with big white letters. A soldier girl who abandons her parents when things get hard. Below it, comments lined up like warehouse shelves, church names mixed with prayer emojis and exclamation points. I skimmed once, didn't tap see more. In my kitchen corner, the printer chattered out the last Duke Energy email. Auto-pay canceled. The printer's steady rhythm was a heartbeat. Outside my screen, the mouths were artillery. Phone rang. Ray. I let it buzz 3 times, declined, and logged it. 1312 missed call #1. Not 10 minutes later, voicemails fell like rain. Pick up. Who do you think you are? The TV is this family's. Another voice, tipsy. Where's your car parked? I opened my recorder app and saved each file the way Rivera taught me. Ray VM01, 1322 property threat. No arguing, no calling back. I sent the template I'd drafted. For any property matters, please use email. Any in-person contact will be reported to 911. Send, lock screen, back to the printer. I clipped the stack into the clipboard, bank, utilities, telecom, insurance, paper thickening like armor. By the 7th call, I switched to speaker so the phone could auto-record. Ray's voice chopped the air. I'm coming for the TV. Open the door or I'll break it. In the oven glass, I caught my reflection, eyes neither pinched nor soft. This is your final warning. The voicemail ended with a slur. I sent the template again, CC'd myself in the archive inbox. It felt like leading a convoy through weather. Don't race the horn in the next lane, watch the speed and the route. Cheryl went with the soft campaign. Honey, I hear you cut everything. I'm so ashamed. Do you even love this family anymore? A knot cinched the middle of my chest. I pressed a palm there like it was a black box. I typed, I do love you, but I cannot keep paying for accounts that are not in my name. Property in my name will be handled by law. If it's urgent about Mia, email me. Send. 5 minutes later, she pushed a photo of Mia at the table, ponytail rushed, eyes down on a notebook, caption, Poor thing. I shut my eyes for a beat. Lessons learned, the thing you love most becomes the lever. Toward afternoon, Geordie called. Saw the packet you sent, he said, voice dry as sandpaper. Next step, ring JAG, don't armchair it. I nodded though he couldn't see and dialed the JAG line. A woman's voice, crisp. Civil matter, you were right to revoke authorizations and gather proof. For physical recovery, request a civil standby from local PD. Do not enter their residence even if you're on title. Keep a contact log, stay calm, and do not engage. I wrote fast, each bullet like a crate, objective, method, evidence attached. What about the smears? I asked. Make no public comment. Archive. If threats cross a line, report immediately. I thanked her and hung up, spine a half vertebra straighter. Rivera pinged. Muted every church group for you. Only Mia's DMs left open. I replied with a thumbs up. Squeeze the feelings through a narrow pipe so the work can run alongside. That's how logistics keeps the load upright. Ellie texted a photo of a fat silver roll of duct tape with, "For standby day." I laughed once dry and went back to the clipboard. At 17:10, with the rain rinsed thin and the sky clear as film, I drove to Mia's school and handed her a USB of edited photos she could use to build her project. She leaned to my window, hair smelling like mint shampoo. "They are all mad at you," she said small. I swallowed, throat as dry as receipt paper. "I'm not mad at anyone," I said. "I just want things in their proper places. If someone baits you about me, don't answer. Send me your slides tonight, I'll review." I nodded. Her eyes looked like sky before rain, clear, thin, breakable. I wanted to swing the door open and drive her out of the city. That wasn't a tactic, that was a feeling. I shut the door and watched her run in, shoulders narrow as a dash. Night turned my phone into a drumhead. By the end, Ray had left 17 voicemails. I let the phone save them and only indexed. Number, gist, threat, or not. Cold numbers warmed my head. I didn't need to absorb each word. I only had to sort. Cheryl switched to soft power, a status. Family means forgiveness. Tagging me, comments stacking by the dozen. In private, she kept pressing. "Come home for dinner, we'll talk." I sent the same line, email. She jabbed back, "You're heartless." I almost typed, "No, I have feelings and procedure." I erased it, didn't send. Around 20:30, Pastor Paul called out of nowhere. "Lena," his voice was oak, low and bright, "I won't meddle, but please remember, hot reactions regret easily." "I'm trying not to react," I said. "I'm just following the paperwork." He sighed. "I understand." No scolding, no siding. He offered a one-line prayer for peace. I thanked him. Prayer won't zero a balance, but it can loosen a tight corner in your chest. I spent the last hour of the day scanning everything. Screenshots of public posts with my name, time, date, URLs, voicemails saved into evidence/calls. The contact log updated through entry 17. I taped a fresh page to the fridge. Row, no engagement, no public explanations, documents only. Under it, I wrote Mia and boxed her name like I was drawing a safe zone on an operations map. When I killed the printer, the apartment settled. In the hall, someone rolled a suitcase. Click, click. I poured water, leaned on the counter, looked at the shadow box propped by the North Carolina map. The crack in the glass no longer shamed me. It read like a fine stitch. Everything of value has seen heat. I lowered the blinds, dimmed the lights. Rivera last texted. "Changed iCloud pass yet? Me, done." He dropped a rocket emoji. Ellie sent exactly one word, sleep. I flipped Do Not Disturb on, whitelist set to Jordy, Ellie, Rivera, and 911. I had just set my cup down when knocking hit, one beat, 3 blows, heavy as a hammer on an ammo crate. I went still. Adrenaline slid under my skin like cold water. The doorbell cam lit up. Ray in the corridor, Cheryl's shape behind him, her phone held high like a third eye live streaming. I didn't step closer. ROE flashed bold across my mind. Do not open, call 911 record. I tapped the emergency icon. The ring was steady and the dispatcher's voice came clear. 911, what is your emergency? I drew a breath, slow, and gave my name, address, relationship, and the last line like a command I'd written on my whiteboard. I fear violence. Outside, the pounding quickened. The night cinched into a tight knot, waiting to be undone. The pounding hit like a mallet on an ammo crate. 3 hard blows, a pause, then 2 more. My doorbell cam pushed Ray's face onto the screen, flushed red, raindrops clinging to the brim of his cap. Behind him, Cheryl held her phone upright, flash splashing a hard white halo like she could force light into truth. I set my palm on the counter edge to stop the tremor and hit 911. A clear, even dispatcher's voice. 911, what is your emergency? I gave name, address, relationship, then the line I'd rehearsed. No weapons, they're banging on my apartment door. I fear violence. Stay on the line, do not open the door, she said. Units are en route, are you in a safe place? I scanned my little kitchen, warm light, the AAM shadow box propped by the wall, the clipboard squared away like a tool tray. I'm inside, doors locked. Ray hammered again. Open up and give me my stuff. He barked, the word my snapping like rope. Cheryl's whisper leaked in. Let me film, let them see her face. I toggled recording in the doorbell app, kept the speaker volume low so I wouldn't spook neighbors. Can you capture audio? Dispatch asked. Affirmative. Good. When officers arrive, keep your phone visible, hands out of your pockets, follow instructions. I nodded though she couldn't see. I counted my breathing, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, hold. The knocking turned edgy, impatient. A door down the hall cracked. Somebody muttered, oh boy, and shut it again. In my head, I mapped a warehouse. The front door was the loading dock. I was behind the fire curtain. The 911 line was the lifeline rope. On the counter, my second phone sat on an email draft labeled evidence, ready to send. Sirens threaded the rain from far away, tiny at first, growing quick. Ray stilled for a beat and turned his head. Dispatch, they're close. Look through the peephole, do not open. When you hear them call, answer loudly from inside. 2 blue silhouettes spilled against the neighbor's door. Police! A man's voice called enough for my pulse to drop a notch. I raised mine. This is Lena Carter, the tenant. I will not open the door. I am safe. 2 relatives are banging and causing a disturbance. Hold your position, ma'am, an officer answered. We'll deal with them first. Through the cam, I caught Officer #1, tall, black rain shell, hands open, stance square. Sir, step back from the door, hands where I can see them. Ray still hot-mouthed, chin up. She's got my stuff. Cheryl tried to thread the needle. She's my daughter. She's cruel, officer. The words broke apart like rain on the lip of the stoop. Officer #2 slid to a cross angle, told Cheryl, ma'am, lower the phone. Live streaming does not help. She hesitated, lowered halfway, flash still winking. ID, please, Officer #1 said. Ray dug for a wallet and threw a glare at the camera like he could stare down a lens. I lifted my phone toward the door. I have a spreadsheet of proof and threatening voicemails. Dispatch reminded me soft. Provide it when they ask. Don't open yet. The talk stretched thin for a few minutes, like a rubber band near snap. Officer #1 spelled out the baseline I needed on record. This is a civil property dispute, not a reason to bang on doors at night. Keep it up, and it becomes trespass/disorderly conduct. Cheryl pivoted to tears on a dime, old water plugging into new rain. We just want to talk. She's heartless. I swallowed something crowded up in my throat, not anger, more like tired confusion with edges. Ma'am, Officer #2 cut in. Talking happens by email or through police appointments, not by live stream and pounding. Ma'am, open the chain a crack so we can speak. Officer #1 eased his tone. I angled my mouth toward the phone. Dispatcher, may I crack the chain? If you feel safe, open the chain. Keep distance, she said. I slid the chain open just 2 finger widths. A thin beam from the flashlight landed on the wall, not my eyes. MS Carter. Yes, sir. You have the documents you mentioned. I passed a clear folder through, printed emails canceling auto pays, statements, a contact log, policy pages, photos of serial numbers. I also have tonight's doorbell video and the voicemails. Good, close and chain up. We'll review and come back. I latched the chain. Through the seam, I watched him scan the stack like a QC chief, eyes left to right, short nods. He shot a lower voice toward Ray. Sir, this isn't the way. Ray filled his chest, then deflated like a tired plastic bag. He still lobbed lines. She owes me. The TV's the family's. Officer #1 answered like setting blocks in a row. If the TV is in her name and the serial matches the paperwork, it's hers. The safe way to recover property is a civil standby. Tonight you are not entering. Cheryl primed a new plea. Officer #2 look swallowed it. We'll complete an incident report for tonight, he added, loud enough for my cam to catch, and issue a case number. If there are further threats, ma'am, call immediately. What followed were steps I knew from the warehouse. Count, sign, close the figure. They took info, had me confirm phone, confirmed no one was hurt, suggested I consider a no-contact action. I'll file in the morning, I said. We'll stay until they leave the building, Officer #2 replied. Thank you, I said through the gap, feeling myself settle like a pallet that finally found its slot. Ray pulled back 2 steps, blustering for face. I'll be back with a lawyer. I recommend you come back with a civil standby appointment, Officer #1 corrected, palm open like a safe door. Cheryl tugged his sleeve and they moved off into the rain. Down the hall, the elevator doors peeled open, swallowed them with a neat ding, and sealed. Ma'am, Officer #2 returned to the door. You okay? I'm okay. We've slid the case number under. Turn on Do Not Disturb tonight. If they return, call. Roger, I said, pure barracks, and he smiled. Good night, ma'am. Their steps faded. Radio chatter braided into the rain. Quiet. I shut the door, rechained, locked, turned the deadbolt twice. The apartment went back to the fridge hum and rain thudding like parade drums. I picked up the little slip they'd pushed under. Case number, both officers' names, time, ticked boxes for disturbance/trespass warning issued. Clipped it to the clipboard, right above my handwritten ROE. The dispatcher was still on. Are you all right? Units just cleared. I'm all right, thank you. Good night, ma'am. I ended the call and peeled my fingers off the counter's edge, nail beds blanched where I'd held too long, like strap marks after tying down a load. Water, one long swallow. My body felt empty, not collapsed, just the kind of empty a warehouse feels after the last truck leaves and the lights dim to low lumens. I texted Jordy. Incident logged, case #trespass warning issued, ROE unchanged. He shot back, good. Ellie sent a shield emoji. Rivera, doorbell backup uploaded to the locked drive. A short, dry laugh escaped me. I thanked all 3. I slid down the wall to the floor, lifted the shadow box, and laid a finger on the hairline crack, gritty like a new scar. Not a victory, I told the quiet room. A procedure. I set the box down and pulled a thin throw over my knees. Before killing the last lamp, I added one more line to the day's campaign log. T36H, 911 engaged, incident report, prep civil standby with PD, tomorrow's tasks, schedule, print extra serial copies. I underlined civil standby twice. Outside, rain thudded steady on the carport roof, a compressor's even cycle. I counted 1, 2, 3, hold, and let my shoulders drop a notch. Not happy, not sad, stable. That's rare at the end of a day spent hand-hauling a belt line. I clicked off the final amber bulb and left the tiny camera LED, a single green bead. The night is a big warehouse. I'm the watch on duty. This shift, I kept time. Tomorrow we roll to their house, not alone, no arguing. Just serials, titles, reports. And when the knocking comes, it'll be mine, not to pound, but to sign. The PD lobby smelled like damp paper and old coffee. I set my clipboard on the counter. Last night's incident report on top, under it printouts of serials, receipts, policies, title. The desk officer skimmed and nodded. 2 officers will accompany you. Rules are simple. No arguing, no touching anyone, recover only items with proof. Roger, I said and signed. Out in the lot, the sky after rain shone like ground steel. 2 cruisers turned over. I fell in behind them, my heartbeat keeping rhythm with a shop compressor. At the mouth of the cul-de-sac, the same wooden fence, wet lawn, the porch that heard last night's words and glass hit. Officer #1 knocked and introduced us, voice low and even. Ray opened, face puffy with missed sleep. Cheryl hovered behind him, messy bun, eyes primed with water. "We're here on a civil standby, so MS. Carter can recover property in her name," Officer #2 said, stamping those two phrases like a notary seal. Ray snorted. All of it was a gift. I lifted a clear folder to the officer's eyeline, not to raise. "TV serial matches this receipt. PC my SSD. Camera Best Buy receipt in my name. Ham radio registration in my name. Car, title, and insurance." Officer #1, "We'll go inside and verify item by item." The living room still carried BBQ sauce and stale smoke. Mia perched on the couch edge, hugging a pillow, eyes tracking me. I gave her the smallest nod and knelt by the TV. "Read the serial out loud," Officer #2 said. I did. The digits hit the carpet like rivets. He checked the printout on my clipboard. "Match." Ray swore. Cheryl cut in. She bought it for the family. The officer's chin tipped at me. "Receipt." I handed over the paper with my name, purchase date, shipped to my apartment. "Itemized," he said, pen scratching the log. I unplugged the cables, coiled them neat, taped a label. "TV RCV." The cord felt lighter in my hands, like twisting shut a leaky line. Next, the PC in Ray's room. With the officer watching, I popped the side panel, seated my SSD into an empty bay, powered up. Post, drive recognized, into Windows. I opened about to display the specs, snapped a photo, shut down, pulled the drive, slid it into an anti-static zip. "Why is she allowed to mess with my computer?" Ray barked. Officer #1 pointed to my printed config photo matching the board's serial and parts bills. "Because the core component is hers. The rest, civil court if you want to press it." I wiped a dust line off the case edge like wiping a dumb memory, then labeled the bag. SSD RCV. Not a trophy, just inventory returning to the right warehouse. The camera sat in a gray sling by Mia's chair. Her fingers clutched the strap, eyes asking. I crouched to her level and softened my voice to thread weight. "I'm taking it back per paperwork. As soon as we're done, I'll sign it out to you for your assignment. But today, I have to recover it." She nodded and let the strap go. I opened the body, read the serial off the base, showed the receipt. "Match," the officer recorded. I pocketed the SD card with the body and labeled it. "Cam RCV." Cheryl hissed, "She needs that." I met her eyes for the first time. "She needs to submit. I've already printed photos for today. The gear comes back out after the paperwork." Cheryl's mouth trembled and closed. Onto the ham radio. Ray stepped in to block. Officer #2 slid sideways, wedging safe space like a steel shim. I produced the registration. My name, model number, year. "Match," he said again, ballpoint rasping. Carrying the radio to the cruiser tugged at something in me. Those knurled knobs took me back to storm nights when Mia and I counted lightning instead of sheep. Last, the car. The key lay in the ceramic bowl by the door where I always dropped it. Ray reached first. The officer warned, "Do not touch," then turned to me. "Title." I handed over title, insurance, inspection. We stepped onto the porch, Miss still beating light. I unlocked, started it. The horn gave a single beep, like a yard release signal. The officer logged the plate, checked the VIN against the title. "Match." He stood at the curb and waved me to pull away. I cut the engine and went back inside. One thing left, the safe. The garage smelled like oil, concrete sweated. I slid the safe out of its nest, opened it, let the officer eyeball the contents. Only clinic reminders and old prints remained. I locked it and pushed it back. "That's all," I said. Ray finally flared. "It was all a gift. She owes me." His words slammed the garage wall and bounced back hollow. I didn't answer. I held up a statement stamped paid by L. Carter. The officer barely glanced. "Sir, you were warned last night. Today is a documented recovery. Any dispute beyond these items is civil court. Do not escalate." Cheryl began to cry, the script so familiar it sounded like a hymn on repeat. Mia slipped onto the porch as I stuck the last label. "Sis," she whispered. In her hands, the brown letter I'd found last night. She'd opened it and resealed it with clear tape. In the corner, she'd written in teen pen, "I read it, your mom writes beautifully." She pressed it into my palm, looking up. "I'm sorry." I hugged her fast, quick enough to feel her heart skitter, then let go when I saw the officer coming back. "Call me whenever you want," I said. She nodded, teeth on her lip. With everything staged, TV in the cruiser, SSD in my bin, camera and radio logged, the officers spread the report on a trunk lid, mis-dotting the paper into pale freckles. "Count, TV serial verified, SSD specs match, camera serial and receipt verified, radio registration verified, vehicle title and VIN match. No injuries, no physical altercations. Civil standby complete." I signed, they signed. One yellow carbon copy tore off into my hand. It felt thin as a shield, but enough. On the way out, I didn't mirror check that porch shrinking behind me. I looked forward and held the wheel. Officer #1 paced my lane and flashed a thumbs up through the glass. I nodded back. We swung into the PD lot and transferred what belonged on their log. "Keep everything 24-48 hours before lending," he said. "If you do lend, make a sign out." "Copy." He read me the case number again. I dropped it into the folder. That afternoon, I brought the camera to Mia's school like I'd promised. But this time, we did a sign out. I filled her name, set a return time the gate officer witnessed. "I trust you," I said, placing the camera in her hands. Her smile was thin as old carbon paper, but real. Back at my apartment, I laid everything out like end-of-mission kit, dried the TV, parked the SSD in an anti-static case, set the radio on the shelf, slipped the title into my safe, filed the reports and confirmations into the binder. Rain smell moved through the cracked window like a training area /C. I wrote the last line in today's log. "Evidence secured. No retaliation. No gloating, only order." Cap the pen. Spine into the chair back. Eyes on the ceiling. Some wins look like empty hands and a thicker stack of paper. Some battles end with a yellow carbon copy. In the corner, the shadow box still leaned. That old crack now just a memory line. I set the AAM on the table, wiped it one more time, slid it into a new frame I'd bought on the way home. Clean glass, warm walnut. I hung it beside the North Carolina map, not to brag, to mark that everything had gone back where it belonged. Tomorrow, Friendsgiving. Tonight I let myself be quiet, not because the storm is gone, but because I finally know where the raincoat lives. Morning was clear as freshly wiped glass. I set the shadow box on the passenger seat. The AAM lay quiet under uncracked glass, the walnut warm like a well-used tool finally back on the right shelf. The military cemetery on the edge of town was as still as a warehouse after count. Short grass, small flags planted straight, their shadows trembling in the cold. I held the frame to my chest and walked slow past stones etched with names. Years in and years out, stories folded tighter than any report. My mother's grave sat under a maple. The earth was damp, red leaves circling the base. I sat, opened the yellowed letter, and read the familiar line again. Don't mistake kindness for erasing yourself. Forgiveness isn't paying everyone's debts, it's restoring your own wholeness. I gave her a morning sitrep. Supply lines cut, civil standby done, recovery by serials and title only. No unnecessary words fired. I even told her the small things. The diner's over-toasted coffee, Ellie's jokes, but the way she plants herself by the door like a post. Rivera's password table neat as a parts index. Geordie's one word, good, that still straightens my spine. I set the AAM beside a small bouquet, not as an offering, but to feel the cool metal steady in my palm. I don't need it to validate me, but I want it intact, like a clean data line. My phone buzzed. Mia, can I swing by for 10 minutes at noon? I sent the address and told her to dress warm. When she came, her cheeks were wind pink, hands around the camera I'd signed out to her yesterday. She hovered like she might disturb the steel of the place. I lifted my hand. She ran the gap and wrapped me quick. Sis, words failed. I smiled and told her sometimes sis was enough. We took a picture, Mia holding the camera, me holding the shadow box, a blue fall sky and a row of flags behind us. I'm sorry I let them use me, she said, eyes glossy. No one uses you unless you let them, I said, soft but torqued tight like a properly set bolt. If you need shelter, call me. I'll come with my car, my papers, my way. In the afternoon, I hit the farmer's market, rotisserie turkey, a pan of cornbread, a basket of sweet potatoes, a small bag of apples. I opened my apartment early. Ellie came in with a pot. Rivera brought a tiny Bluetooth speaker. Jordy showed 10 minutes late with a bag of ice and that automatic security sweep gaze he can't turn off. I hung the shadow box one hand span higher than before, anchored to 2 solid studs beside the North Carolina map. I laid a checkered cloth on the small table, slid the clipboard and binder into the drawer below, and closed it with a satisfying click. Paper life shelved, warm life on deck. Butter and cinnamon warmed the kitchen. Ellie cracked the oven and grinned. Tomorrow I'm telling the truck crew about your valve shut mission. Let's see who laughs. Rivera cued a country soul playlist. The music drafted through like smoke. Jordy leaned on the counter, said nothing, then reached into his pack and handed me a small hardback notebook. Write down what actually matters, Carter, not invoices, lessons. Page 1 was thick and white. I wrote, Logistics doesn't chase glory. Logistics preserves life. Under it, 3 bullets, boundaries, procedure, family you choose. New neighbors drifted in, someone with pumpkin pie, someone with a jug of iced tea. I kept the talk low, no 911, no incident, no civil standby. We tapped paper cups and talked football, the first cold snap, the gray cat who suns on my sill. A knock came light this time. The lady across the hall offered cookies and happy holiday. I smiled and took the plate, thinking, a knock can be a threat or a tray of sweets. The difference is who knocks and the rules you've set for your doorway. Before we ate, I texted Mia. Want a slice of turkey? I'll save you a plate. She sent back a Cape Fear sunset, horizon deep purple, a tiny boat like a comma. Shot it myself, she wrote. I filed it in a folder called Mia Light. No notes about exposure or composition. I wrote back, beautiful, keep the rights to your feelings. Night pooled in and the gold in the room pulled everyone's shadows long. Ellie told a road story. Someone seat-belted the pot, not themselves, then braked hard and launched Thanksgiving into the footwell. The table blew up laughing. Rivera ran a game guessing my old passwords from what I hate most. They all lost. Jordy stayed quiet, adding a flat eat when we got too talky. The knife crinkled the turkey skin and I thought of that old crack in the glass. No sting now. The crack gave me a reason to replace the pain, rehang the box, and repurpose it from a shame prop to a recovery marker. After, I washed dishes in warm water. Chicken fat pulled away in thin lines. Suds floated like clouds. Fayetteville outside was the kind of calm only a military town has at rest. Steady streetlights, low noise, a couple of late cars sliding by like the tail end of a shift. On the shelf, the ham radio sat silent, volume knob at 0. I leave it there the way you leave a speaker unplugged from a noisy network. I thought of Cheryl and Ray. I don't need them to understand, and I'm out of anger for them. I want Mia to have a desk without thrown objects, and I want a home where a knock doesn't cinch my heart. We closed together, wash, dry, stack. Rivera locked up and gave me one more perimeter check. Ellie knotted the trash and dropped it down the chute. Jordy stood by the map, looked at the shadow box for a beat, and nodded. Solid, he said. I blew out the candle. Smoke drew a straight line, then vanished. In the last quiet, my heartbeat synced with the HVAC, steady, unhurried enough. I pulled the curtain and stood alone before the shadow box. Cool glass under my fingertip. Not victory, I said, order. I opened Geordie's notebook and wrote the final line of the campaign. I chose my family, the ones who come knocking with open hands. I tucked Mia's photo inside the back cover. Closing the book felt like taping the last box of the shift, marking destination, freedom. Night laid a hand on my shoulder like an old friend. I killed the lights and left one small gold bulb over the counter, the beacon I save for late returns. Somewhere a generator hummed. I lay down, counted 1, 2, 3, hold, and knew that in the morning there'd be no more cut list. Tomorrow is a live list. Call Mia, call the chaplain about volunteering, change the water filter, teach Rivera cornbread, return Ellie's duct tape. Little things, but mine. I smiled into the dark, for the first time in a long time. Not for escaping someone, but for coming home to my own warehouse.